I think it comes down to being flexible, adaptable, understanding that not everything's going to go as planned and accepting that.
Right.
So I think, moving countries was very difficult. Getting through my PhD was difficult. Switching careers was difficult. And I think once you recognize that life is supposed to be somewhat difficult and challenging, it's supposed to have those moments. It's never just supposed to be easy all the time. I think that'll make for a very dull and unfulfilled life.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Zen and Now with me, Kishan Morar. And after a refreshing vacation and a bout with the flu, seasonal flu at that, it feels really good to be back with you all and for another episode filled with intriguing conversations. And today is no exception. We're diving deep into the world of neuroscience and real estate with a truly accomplished guest. He holds a PhD in neuroscience and is making waves as an up-and-coming real estate mogul. Please join me in welcoming the multi-talented Ritesh Daya today. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for that introduction. Says a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. All good, man. How you been? It's been a while since we caught up.
Yeah, been good. Trying to enjoy the last of the summer. I'm busy with work. But yeah, no, everything's been good.
So for the listeners who don't know Ritesh, can you just give us a bit of introduction into who you are and how you got how you went from neuroscience to real estate?
So Kishan, kind of how we know each other is I grew up in Zimbabwe. Came here when I was 16, started high school. I eventually then went into the sciences and I completed my PhD in neuroscience. I really enjoyed what I was doing. I worked in the hospital space and the clinical space for about 5 years. Part of that work was drug discovery. So we were working with a lot of commercialization of pharmaceutical companies. So there was a business component to that. And as I got more introduced into that space and that arena, I really enjoyed it. So I transitioned more into consulting on the healthcare and business side. That eventually pushed me more into the business side of things. And all through this, as I was in school doing my neuroscience, as I went into the commercialization space, and then when I went more to the business side, I was investing in real estate on the side. And as a student investing in real estate, and you're making, say $100 a month return on a property that I was renting out, that was huge to me. And I was like, oh, there has to be something here. I read a couple books, one of them being Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that talked about, the idea of leveraging real estate. And I thought that was super interesting. So I continued to invest in real estate. And then I eventually got to a point where I was investing in real estate and all my friends and family were asking me about how I'd invested, and I was giving them a ton of advice. And when I was going through my real estate journey investing, I struggled to find really good support and really good guidance. The real estate agents that I was working with, they didn't have a ton of knowledge. They hadn't invested, to the extent that I'd invested. So they were just mainly just managing paperwork. And I got to a point where I decided to quit my job and go into real estate full time. I felt I had a ton to offer when it came to guiding people through their investment journey, and then also working with people who are buying real estate for the first time. There's a ton of nuance there. There's a ton of education that needs to happen that doesn't happen. So that's really what drew me to moving into real estate full time.
Right. That's an interesting pathway, from neuroscience but yeah, you were doing real estate you were investing while you were still working in the health sector, right?
Yeah. So when I was in my PhD, I received a scholarship. It came with a little bit of money. I had some money saved up, and I eventually thought I was going to live in Toronto. So I decided to buy a condo downtown.
Okay.
And I was like, I will live in this in a couple of years. So until then, I'll just rent it out. And that was my first taste of investing in real estate.
Okay. Yeah, you got the bite.
I had the bite. Yeah, exactly.
Now, amazing that, and like, how did it feel like just to know that it's yours, something was yours, something tangible was yours. It's so young.
I didn't think too much of it. It wasn't anything that felt different for me. I guess maybe just my mindset was different back then. But I'd rented it out. I kind of had tenants in there. I didn't hear from them that much, so kind of forgot it existed until a few years later when I decided that I was going to move downtown. And then I didn't end up staying in it at any point, but it just became like an asset for me.
Right. And like back then and compared to now, how do you compare, the the living expenses and the prices, of living downtown. Because I'm sure a lot of people like are pretty interested in investing, but also probably like a bit apprehensive right now because of the market and uh, the way governance is and the way just real estate market. I know in Toronto is like actually quite crazy at the moment. I mean, there's so many high rises coming up. I know there's opportunity for investment, and I know a lot of people are probably looking into it, but just a bit apprehensive. Any advice?
Yeah,
Utah market.
absolutely. The real estate market in Toronto, Ontario, Canada generally uh, is I'm trying to think of the right word. I wouldn't say that it's on fire. I wouldn't say that it's incredibly hot, because if you look at a lot of the other G12 countries, their real estate markets are quite similar. We're seeing, across a lot of countries, especially the developed G12 nations, real estate prices have gone up. It's just it's a component of the economy that we have, the inflation that we were experiencing. So specifically for us here in Toronto, Ontario, prices are high, and they shot up. When I invested originally, prices have gone up, and they'll continue to go up more than likely. But this isn't uncommon for big cities. We're still cheaper than some of the big metropolitan cities out there. This is just what happens when you're part of a big metropolitan city. Prices and real estate prices, in particular, will go up.
Yeah.
Living is high downtown. Absolutely. When I moved downtown, I lived with a roommate. It was a great time, but you can't afford to live downtown on your own. If you're, a student, or if you just started working, it is an expensive city to live in, but that is city living. That is a part of the journey, and that is a part of the experience, in my opinion, of living in a big, bustling metropolitan city. Don't forget, Toronto is up there when it comes to cities.
Oh yeah.
We're leading in many ways, quality of life, in terms of our education, the research, the innovation that's coming out. We're one of the leaders in AI. There's a ton going on in Toronto that adds to that flair that makes Toronto a bustling and at the same time expensive city. And just to comment on the market, right now we're seeing interest rates slowly starting to come down. We've seen inflation cool. Unemployment's a little bit high still, but generally we're seeing a more stabilized economy. And since we've reached those inflation targets, we need to start now reducing the interest rates to kind of make sure that we don't go overboard on that. So we're going to see interest rates continue to come down. We've already seen 2 drops in the real estate in the interest rates. And I anticipate we'll probably have another 1 or 2 interest rate drops, and we'll probably see further interest rate drops next year. And with that being said, as interest rates come down, the affordability to buy real estate goes up, because now instead of saying, hey, at a 5% interest rate, I could only buy a property worth, say, $1 million.
Right.
Interest rates drop to like 4%, anything lower than that, that's a significant drop. Your affordability starts to go up. So we'll start to see people coming back to the market. We'll start to see prices again start to go up. And that's just the cycles of real estate. It's always a cycle. It's always going to be up and down.
Yeah.
In a relative state for it, always increasing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I read something interesting the other day, like the amount of time your mortgage now has increased from, I think it was 20 years to like, I think they've increased the years of how many years you can take your mortgage on.
Yeah, amortization. Yeah. And that's just also, it was 25 years.
Yeah.
It is 25 years, but we've just had a new regulation that's been legislated that's going to increase that to 30 years.
30 years, yeah.
Properties, certain properties, you'll be able to get a 30-year amortization.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I think a lot of people actually prefer that. I know longer fixed term time to actually pay off the mortgage, because I know it's been a struggle for a lot of people. I mean, we also ourselves probably, looking to invest, looking to purchase, as we go along. And I think with the interest rates and the markets now cooling a little bit, maybe it's time to just see what's out there and what inventory is available. But it's like mental, like we don't know a lot, like I don't know personally a lot about real estate, but like having conversations with people who do, help me understand that, okay, this is the way to go, and this is the do's and don'ts, because there's always black holes where people will go into, and like you get advice from people who actually are just trying to like just sell you instead of just selling you a home like that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And on the 30-year amortization, it's going to reduce your payments, so it makes homes more affordable in that nature. But some people think that, now I've extended how much I owe the bank because your interest is the amount of interest you pay will increase.
Yeah.
The length of, the term of your loan is now longer, that I'm going to continue to have to owe the bank money for longer. There's two ways to think about that. One is the sense that you brought up, that it makes it more affordable for you to buy today, which is great. And yes, it's going to increase the amount of interest and the term of your loan. But I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think the idea of owing money to the bank and having debt on a home is not a bad thing. It's actually counterintuitive. A lot of people think I need to pay down my mortgage as soon as possible. And the idea you want to think about is, if you're getting money from the bank and the bank is loaning you money at, say, 4 or 5%, that is a loan to you at 4 or 5%. The money that you have saved up that you will use to pay down your loan further, that money you have saved up could be used to invest in something and maybe get you a return of 8 or 10%.
All right.
You invested in a mutual fund or you invested in another investment asset and it's returning you anywhere from 6 to 10%, say, you're still doing better than what you'd be owing the bank. So instead of trying to pay it off, it's like you can keep that debt there. I'd rather go invest that money elsewhere and pay the debt off slowly. It's a very stable debt, right? It's with the bank. So there's a couple ways to think about it.
And I think also with Toronto's landscape, it's so beautiful. Like that in itself also is a selling point. I mean, if you look at, I mean, I personally like cycle, along the lakeshore, and like it doesn't get old, that view of the lake, and it just gives you perspective into, like, you're humble and grateful that you're able to live in a city where, one, it's very clean, it's taken care of, and the scenery is, like, for me, is like second to none, because I mean, people take care of the environment,
Absolutely.
and I mean, we both coming from Africa, I mean, it's also stunning. Like, Africa is really stunning. It can be the most amazing continent to live on. However, like, there's just certain parts where you feel like, it's just been let down by people who just don't really care and just abuse the environment. And, it doesn't make it very, very comforting to live.
Absolutely.
So I think also that's a good selling point for like a lot of people. They just want to know that what they're investing in is worthwhile, not just from a monetary perspective, but also a lifestyle perspective. And I think, like, when you give that comfort, I think a lot of people will be like, okay, let's see what's out there. And I think watching your journey, watching your reels and your advertising and your work ethic, I think, you give that to people. You sell that lifestyle, and I think people appreciate your honesty, because honesty, I mean, if if you're gonna swindle people, they're gonna see, straight past the bullshit. Like,
absolutely.
So
yeah, no, I totally agree. I think Toronto's a fantastic place. Like you said, we both come from Africa. We've lived outside of the country. We know what it's like living elsewhere. I think some people take it for granted.
Yeah.
We have a very safe country, despite some of the stuff you'll read on the news. We have a ton of opportunity here. We have great education, great healthcare. People complain about our healthcare. And yeah, our healthcare system is very overwhelmed at the moment. But, when you go look at the US, where they have a private healthcare system, the number one reason for bankruptcy in the US is healthcare.
Oh, pharmaceuticals, man. They keep pumping more drugs than just actually fighting the root cause. It's just, that's what it is about.
Yeah. So, in Canada, we have a lot to be grateful for and a lot to be thankful for. And that's why I live here. That's why I'll continue to live here. That's why I buy real estate here. And, as you said, I'm honest, because I recommend and I promote what I do. I wouldn't promote something that I haven't done, that hasn't worked for me.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure, like, with your real estate, business, and how do you kind of like balance that lifestyle, just to take a break from the schedule that you have?
Yeah, coming from a 9-to-5 job where you have consistency in your day, you have consistency in the amount of money you're going to make at the end of the month. Moving into real estate and being, more on the entrepreneurial side, there's no certainty in what you're going to make at the end of the month. And with real estate, you're busy in the evenings and weekends. That's when people are available to go see properties, to do showings. You're during the day, you're making phone calls, or you're at a site if you're doing any building or renovations or development. So the days are busy, the days are long. And for me, what's been really important is keeping a routine. I'm very much a person of habit and routine. So the morning times for me are sacred. I'll wake up early. That's when I'll go to the gym. That's when I'll do stuff for Ritesh. Because, at 8 o'clock, the phone starts ringing and it doesn't stop ringing. 8 o'clock in the morning, that first phone call from someone on a construction site saying something's flooded, something's gone wrong. And if you're trying to like do something for yourself, you can't. Your mind's going to be on the fires that you need to put out.
Yeah.
I mean, routine is important. Keeping some time early in the morning for myself. That's been, I think, a saving grace for me.
Yeah, routine is important. I think a lot of us get so like absorbed by what we're doing after we wake up. Having that little routine also just helps you just calm yourself down in the morning. Because some days are just hectic. I mean, if I just think about the last 2 weeks for myself, I mean, yeah, you're so exhausted from the day, and not having that morning routine just kind of like, you don't feel good. I know it's more of it's easier said than done, but it's like a mental thing, just knowing that you've given yourself that opportunity to ground yourself in the morning before you start your day. And I know it's for me, it was very tough the last few weeks because, coming from vacation, you're in another routine. There's no real like, how do I say this? You just wake up and go,
Yeah, you're just trying to catch up.
Yeah, right.
Living as you can, as best you can.
Yeah. Look, I won't trade it for anything in the world. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. No, coming back from vacation.
No, for sure. I'll take that any day. But and then coming back and getting sick, like it really takes it out of you.
I think those are the worst moments when you've been kicked out of your routine, say from vacation, and then you get sick and it extends this out of routine, because jumping back in is the hardest part.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Those couple days, forcing yourself to get back in is the hardest. And I think that's where you have to really just remind yourself that if I push past these couple days, it's going to get so much easier.
Yeah, I think as we grow older, I think I've learned to like just listen to my body a little more. Whereas prior to, like in my younger days, like even if I wasn't feeling well, like I'd push through and like try and like be active and like, really like, oh, I think I'm missing out on something, But nowadays I'm like, okay, if it takes you a week or two, just rest. So you don't really have to go gung-ho. You don't really have to like get a workout in. It's okay because your body's telling you to, take it easy. You need to recover.
It's important. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think as I grow older, like I learned to listen to my body a lot more because I think I've destroyed my body when I was younger because it was just continuous go and no rest. Even when injuries occur, it was continuously going. And I think now it's more just about maintenance, for longevity, making sure in my years to come that I'm just able to still be mobile. Because if you're not mobile when you're younger, we see it nowadays with our grandparents and even slightly with our parents and stuff. They age and all of those ailments and everything come into play. You have to think about those things.
Absolutely. I think we're part of a generation that's very lucky. We've been given a lot of the tools and we have a lot of the data and science and knowledge to tell us what we need to do to be healthy and mobile when we're older.
Yeah.
And it's just, doing that work now so that, we can be healthy and mobile when we're now elder age rather than, being immobile and kind of almost suffer through your last few years, right?
Yeah, I mean, like the work now you do, sometimes it sucks. Like sometimes it's it's hard work. You're like thinking to yourself, why am I doing this to myself? But the long-term implications of it is beneficial.
Yeah, the long-term implications are huge. Even the short-term implications, it sucks, going to that doing that workout when you don't want to do it, but afterwards you feel great. The next couple of days you'll probably feel better, and then you're obviously slowly chipping away at this investment that's going to help you when you're in your older age.
Yeah, I see investment in your body, investment in your in your home. I think you're in the right space.
I think everything's. I think it just goes to say nothing's built in a day, right? Everything is small, consistent contributions to your health, your fitness, your real estate, portfolio, your investment.
Yeah.
It's all small contributions over time that accumulate.
No, for sure. Before we continue with today's episode, if you're enjoying it, if I could ask you for a small favor, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It will not only help the channel grow, but it will also allow me to bring you a lot more guests and a lot more experiences. Thank you. Back to the show. And like confidence-wise, like how do you get in terms of your mental strength, like when there's an adversity or something that, doesn't go your way, or you feel like, it hasn't gone exactly how you planned in your head, because sometimes we play that scenario in our minds and this is how we're going to do it, but then we actually get to the, to the experience, it doesn't go our way. How do you overcome, something like that? Especially now in real estate, there's a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it comes down to being flexible, adaptable, understanding that not everything's going to go as planned and accepting that.
Right.
So I think, moving countries was very difficult. Getting through my PhD was difficult. Switching careers was difficult. And I think once you recognize that life is supposed to be somewhat difficult and challenging, it's supposed to have those moments. It's never just supposed to be easy all the time. Like a very dull and unfulfilled life. I think challenging, a little bit of suffering, I think it's important, and I think it comes at you at different times. And if you understand that it's part of the process, I think you're less likely to feel rigid and you're less likely to fight it. So I think don't go my way. It's, it's just accepting that, if I've done everything I think I can, and I have no control over this moment, then it's accepting it. I think it's a large part of just acceptance and understanding that you will get through it. Things will work out the way they're supposed to work out, whether you have faith in God or the universe or whatever it is.
Something.
It'll work out. It always works out the way it's supposed to work out. Sometimes.
Yeah, we're always being told, the universe has your back,
Yeah, exactly.
In that moment, it might not feel that way, but
yes,
and we know, like, we don't even know when it'll happen or how it'll happen, but when it does happen, you'll be like, okay,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, when you were younger, were you like, were you somebody who was like just level-headed, or you knew, like, did you have a temper, like, or did you like really throw it?
As a kid, my family's known for having a very vicious temper.
Okay.
I don't think I had that gene. Fortunately or unfortunately, I was always I was very active as a kid. I was very hyper. I was hyper. I had supposedly ADHD as a child. I was very active, very hyper, always getting into trouble. And I got into trouble a bunch of times and with some severe repercussions. And, I think seeing the impact that had on my family, it changed me as a child. So in my teens, I was much more conscious of my actions, not only for the consequences they had for me, but the consequences they had on the people around me. And I think ever since then, I've been fairly level-headed and a little bit more aware of, knowing everything that you do has a consequence.
Right.
If you treat somebody badly, you do something that's not right or dishonest, there's a consequence. Nothing ever is unreacted. There's a equal and opposite reaction for everything that goes on.
Yeah. I mean, knowing mom and dad as well, like, every time we've spent time with them, you never say they'd have that courage to discipline their kids. But I think, like you said, like, there were always repercussions. They were always like, if you did something wrong, you were held accountable for it,
Absolutely.
And I think our parents as well, like, something happened, if one of myself or my sister did something, we were held accountable for it. We were punished in some sort of way, knowing, like, okay, don't do that again. But that comes also with good grounding. And I think we're very fortunate to come from a generation of, we had good upbringings, good grounding, good values instilled into us,
Mm-hmm.
And I think looking at today's, world, it's scary, the amount of how the youth are progressing so much quicker than we did. We still had the opportunity. We didn't have any cell phones or social media, or we didn't have, like, we built our lives on motor mechanics, things like that. Playing outside, being with friends, socializing. Social aspect is so important. Like, looking back in hindsight, we were so blessed to like have those experiences with friends, playing outside, socializing, meeting new people, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, we grew up playing outside with our friends and being very present and in the moment. I feel, yeah, that this generation, some of the younger generations have a challenge. There's so much data and so much stimuli
Yeah.
accessible to them. And I don't think we have the tools or they have the tools to figure out how to kind of parse that. How do you figure out what you need to let in and how do you figure out what to stop?
Yeah.
I think we're all learning that now.
Yeah. I remember just an example of that is how is there's one of the Batman movies with Jim Carrey,
Mhm.
Batman Forever. You know, he pulls that device, uh, and what it does is it protrudes like data into your mind,
Okay.
and so data into your mind, and then feeds it back to him. You know, but you're constantly engaged.
Right.
You like fixated on that signal, and that's how
Sounds
it feels.
helpful.
Yeah, that's how it is. Like that's how it feels. Like we constantly engaged, we constantly consuming data, news, you know, like false information, what's real, what's not real. And I think having that good grounding and that awareness to step away from it and to do something actively, just I think is a good way to balance your, you know, just your energy, basically.
Yeah. 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 From a neuroscience perspective, you have this stimuli that's just triggering all kinds of catecholamines, endorphins, all these chemicals in your brain. And your body starts to adapt and build thresholds to it. And then you're not getting that same type of response because the
Right.
body's almost numb to it to a certain extent. So we have to learn how to take social media breaks, how to take stimuli breaks. I think we're still learning how to do that and how to, integrate that into our lives. I think some people do it better than others.
Yeah.
That I'm struggling with, because I like to work and I'm always on the go. I'm on the phone, on my laptop, and it's learning how to kind of take those breaks, how to separate and create some moments of stillness and silence.
Yeah.
I can't tell you, and I don't know, you tell me the last time you felt you were bored. I can't tell you the last time I was bored,
Nah, I can't remember.
right? It's just there's always just something to do or something going on. There's just the last time I remember being bored, it would have been when I was a kid.
Yeah, actually, even yeah, to go as far back, I think both of us, our personalities were always like active. I don't think I was ever that bored where I couldn't find something to do.
Right. There's always something to do, or there is always something to do.
Yeah, it was either like, yeah, I was not, yeah, like I was like also like one of those kids, like I'll find a golf club, take a golf ball outside and just chip it into my mom's windows. Like,
Yeah, yeah. But I even think like
sometimes.
that kind of like activity is not necessarily bad. I think it's like today. It's that, if you have a second to yourself or you have a moment of peace or freedom, you're gonna pull up your phone and open up an app and you're gonna do social media or you're gonna be playing a game. There's just this no moment to just kind of be still and present and
Yeah,
thinking about now.
yeah. Being in the moment is very important. Like you said, we learning about it as we go along, and just to be still. Like the other day, it's been a while since I did a yoga, you know, a yoga routine, and
Mm.
just being even just sitting there with your thoughts. Why did you do this today? What's the intention today?
Yeah.
It was away from the phone. It was away from everything. It was just a guided, you know, routine, but it felt good to like just, you know, one hand on your heart, one on your stomach, and just, you know, the intention you set, like, okay, why did I come here today? You know,
Right.
just giving yourself the awareness and to say, okay, I've come for my workout, and then after this, even if it's 10 minutes, I feel that I've accomplished something, you know,
Mhm.
other than just my work day or whatever I need to accomplish for the day. It's
Yeah.
just for you, that accomplishment for yourself.
Yeah. And I think the health benefits on your mental health are huge. I think that's so important, so healthy.
Yeah, for sure. Because in the last couple of years, I mean, I've lost a couple of friends to suicide, and you know, you think back if they've just like, what were they going through? You know, what was actually the, you know, the root cause of why they actually had to go and do what they did to themselves. And there were times also when I was in that space, and thankfully, like I was able to catch myself and also seek help when I needed it,
Mhm.
because I think not being able to do that for yourself uh, is a challenge in itself, but you also need like um, comfort from people who you can reach out to. And I think not having that support is
Mhm.
also like a challenge. And I think a lot of us, we isolate ourselves when because I mean, we come from societies and that we don't really share much
Mhm.
of our challenges, because we've always been taught like you have to be a little bit more um, uh, manly. You got to be a bit more, you know, uh, being able to, you know, just go through your challenges alone and fix it yourself. And I don't know how you feel. Maybe something that you can share. But I feel like we didn't have that opportunity to actually express ourselves, openly and honestly, without feeling we're doing something wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's part of that the old school mentality of masculinity, where you can't share your emotions, or if you're going through something difficult, you can't reach out to people around you, or you don't have people around you who reach out to. So you end up kind of not having this ability to express or have an outlet for something for you to have your own sort of healing, right? Like talking about things, going to somebody, sharing it. There's some healing part in just doing that, and then also having the opportunity to go find help.
Yeah.
I think the idea of going to a therapist before was a very and a lot of stigma attached to it. Now I think it's a lot more common to say, "Hey, I'm going to go see my therapist." You're like, "Oh, that's great." You're looking after your mental health like you look after your physical health. You go to the gym. For your mental health, you're going to go see a therapist. Good for you. That wasn't around,
Oh,
10 years ago, right?
oh no.
It's definitely something that's newer and maybe even still not even commonplace. Maybe more
Yeah.
commonplace for us here in Toronto, but in some other countries, it's definitely not.
Yeah. I think a lot of companies also now introduce mental health days.
Yeah.
They've also introduced like organizations that can come in, you can go for free,
Mhm.
it's toll-free numbers, pick up the phone and just talk about what's happening with you.
Yes.
That should be the status quo. Like it should be free. I think it should be for everybody.
Mhm.
I think we're still at that stage where it's like a little bit private, you
Yeah.
know. But like you say, we are making strides in that field of having resources available for people who actually need it. And I don't blame the previous generation before us, because it was very tough for them also,
Yeah.
because they also went through their own challenges, and they also never like really had the opportunity to express it like openly. Maybe like 2% of the world's households were like openly accepting of people who like your close knit family, like, okay, this is how I feel today and let's work through it.
Mhm.
Whereas I think majority of households, this is just my experience, I'm not quoting anything, people don't don't take it out of reference but or context, but I know a lot of my friends from my community, just I think they went through life uh, as a norm,
Mhm.
and it's just an observation. And but now that we get to speak about it openly and we share our experiences, I think a lot of people like accept it, and they themselves also like encourage. Now we having these conversations openly, and they're like, yeah, man, good for you. Like, thank you for sharing. Like, we didn't know. Like, I also went through something, and it's so good to hear that somebody I know has gone through challenges in their life. It's not just me.
Right. Yeah. I think you realize that we're all kind of going through some challenge, sometimes similar, sometimes not, but just being aware that you're not the only person going through this. There's some comfort with that.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you said, you realize that some of your friends are just going through the norm, what do you mean by that?
I think just like living life, like what they should be doing at certain stages of life. You know,
Okay.
they should be like, oh, at a certain age, you should be X, Y, and Z,
Right.
That's what I mean.
Got it.
Or it's like the perception of if I don't achieve that at X, Y, and Z, at the age of X, Y, and Z, have I failed?
Right.
I also I was in that, oh, I've got to be like, at a certain age, I got to get my degree, I got to get into the workspace, at a certain age, I got to get married and, family and, you know, because you see people, you don't want to be like, you don't want to be ostracized from like
Right.
the group, because I felt that way when I was growing up. Like high school was a very challenging time for me in terms of like um, confidence wise. So I think it took me a little longer to regain my confidence. But
Mhm.
once I left high school, I think I found myself again, because I
Mhm.
think it was a very accepting environment, friends, that I made, lifelong friends, people who were actually like, there for you if you needed it. And till today, they're still there if you need something. Um, but I feel like nowadays we don't have to live in that norm or that cycle of accomplishing things at a certain age. Age is just a number. You can do it anytime.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Those societal and cultural uh, pressures that are put on us to hit sort of milestone by certain
Yeah.
is can be very daunting, can be very heavy, and I think times are different. So, I think we're in a time now where we are not getting married as early as our parents were getting married,
Yeah.
as early as our parents are getting married. We're spending maybe more time at school. We are experiencing life in different ways. Um, so yeah, if you don't have that freedom to live your life as you should, and you have all these cultural and societal norms pushed onto you, can feel choking, and you can kind of feel like, you're not just
Yeah. It's a bit suffocating.
suffocating. Absolutely.
I mean, I on my social feeds, I see a lot of posts and podcasts, the brown community expressing like, yeah, our generation speaking like this now about, the challenges that, and speaking openly and honestly with their parents, like how it feels, when those pressures are put on you. And it's a learning experience for everybody.
Yes.
Our parents are learning, like, and we learning, and then the next we're just trying to, like, the next generation has it a little better, you know. I think as you go generations and generations, you just want them to feel a bit more easy in a world where there's so much of chaos at the moment. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, it's scary, like, to think of, wars. I mean, it's 2024 and we still have war.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to fathom, and just it's just, you ask yourself, where's the peace?
Mhm.
It's another human being that you're trying to, like, a life that you're trying to take away. I mean, innocent souls are just perishing, and it's hard at times, but
Yeah.
we can only control what we can within our own you know environments. And as hard as it is, we have to really also look after ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you have to make sure you're healthy and happy and sane before you can help and contribute to anybody else, right?
Yeah.
That whole analogy of when you're on the plane, you got to pull that mask and put it on you, help anybody else, right?
It's the same analogy I use all the time.
Yeah.
It makes so much sense. Like, you gotta be secure first before you help somebody else.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of our societies, we try and give so much of ourselves, but we're not helping ourselves. Like, we give so much we give pieces of ourselves away so much that there's nothing left for us.
Hmm.
And that's when burnout happens and exhaustion,
Yeah.
and then you don't feel like you can accomplish or do what you want to do.
Hmm.
And I feel like a lot of people, like, are going through it right now, like, literally.
Yes.
No. But I always tell them, like, the road is tough. It's long. It sucks. It's up and down. It's gonna get nasty. It's gonna get very emotional. But once you get to the other side, man, it's such a good feeling.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, I
And
think especially with social media, and you were saying earlier about us being isolated. We are still very isolated, despite the fact that we're so connected with all the different types of telecommunication we have. You can FaceTime, phone, text somebody in a second, and you're communicating with them. But it's a very different sense of communication.
yeah,
So it's different from being in community, right? Um, I think we're losing a ton of that sense of community. So you can feel very lonely and isolated very quickly.
I think, yeah, like, you make an important point there. Uh, we're so connected, but yet we're so lonely.
Hmm.
That's how, because your friend is I mean, nowadays your phone is your best friend.
Yeah.
Connects you to the world. It keeps you engaged. It keeps you busy. Whereas not, you have to, like, find that awareness just to put it down.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, I saw a meme on social media and I thought it was funny because it was true. When we were kids, the best thing we could do was just hang out with our friends and do nothing. or hang out and listen to a CD or a cassette,
Something.
or hang out and like watch a movie. Like, that was something. We go to someone's house and you could just sit there and chat and watch a movie for hours or
Hours.
something for hours. We don't do that now. We're listening to anything. It's like, on our own, and we're listening to the first 30 seconds of it, and it's next on to the next thing.
I mean, you probably see it around Toronto a lot. Like everyone's with their headphones. Even if you go into a coffee shop, there's no one having conversations. Everyone's
Yes.
with their laptops. Everyone is just in their own zone. There's no one having conversations. And like one day I just walked. I told someone this the other day, and like I just walked into a coffee shop, and I'm just like looking around, and I'm like, nobody's talking to anybody. Everybody's just plugged in and wired in, and it's like, oof, okay.
Yeah.
Just a small observation, and I'm like, we're losing the ability to converse. Also, I'm
Yeah.
not saying you have to be like so friendly and just go and talk to anybody, but just just a general conversation, because getting things off your chest is so important. Like keeping it in, it's hard. Like you hold on to so much of weight, when that weight it's too much. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's super important to be able to just talk to somebody about your day, as simple as that. And not everybody has that person to talk to about their day. Even if you do, you're working and you're talking the whole day in these meetings to this computer.
yeah,
You come home and you got all these things to do, and like there's very little opportunity to just kind of sit and talk and be present. And
yeah,
I think it's something that you have to kind of really be conscious about putting into your life. Otherwise, it's just so easy in today's world to not be able to do that.
yeah. And you don't have to have a ton of friends. I mean, your circle can be your circle can be like very small, but it it's then that's okay, because you don't have to have a ton of friends to feel like you have community. You can even have a best friend, like one friend, and feel like you're okay.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's quality over quantity. You'd rather have one or two really good people that are good friends that respect you and you have loyalty with, than to have like 30 friends who you barely get to see, who you barely have a relationship with. Uh, yeah, definitely quality over quantity. And just on the community thing, I think it's super important. It's been something I've been thinking about a lot. Especially when you look back at our generation when we grew up as kids, and the generation before us, especially, we were raised in communities. We weren't just raised
Yeah,
by our parents. We were raised
100%.
by grandparents, our aunts and uncles, our cousins. Like, my dad talks about growing up, and he grew up with his cousins and his friends and community. When I was back in Zimbabwe, we grew up more in a community than I'd say today. Because today, you're very isolated. You're not necessarily growing up in a community. You're raised by whoever's at home with you, whoever's at home the most with you, whether that's a nanny, a parent, a sibling. Um, we're losing the sense of community in the way that we're raising children, and then we're also losing the sense of community for us, because we feel we're always talking to people. We feel like we have this false sense of community, but it's not. It's not the same.
Yeah, it's so important, that note. I mean, I was raised, I think, by my next door neighbor. You know,
Yeah.
I grew up like in their arms, and I never spent time at home. Like I was always with my aunt or next door neighbor, or somebody was taking care. But I grew up with a different community,
Yeah.
But
Just
like you said,
perspectives and influences.
yeah. I mean, just the other day, like we had some family over from South Africa, and it's such a small world. We just met up for a little braai and barbecue and stuff. And the uncle we met was like, he actually knows my dad. Like he moved here in the 70s,
Wow.
but he was actually like his best friend was literally was my uncle actually.
Wow. Okay.
You like think to yourself, these guys were literally next door, and now all around, all across the world.
Right.
So you find these people that were actually like connected to you somehow.
Yeah.
But that comes from community, like you said. Even our sports coaches became our mentors,
Absolutely.
teachers, everyone, and we still hold them dear to our hearts today. Like I still today will call my teachers madam or sir. I can't say their first name.
Right. Yeah. We grew up with a different sense of, I guess, scholar and discipline.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
another topic. Tell our friends how we used to get beaten, how
Oh my God.
we used to do
You stand there the day and you're like, you get,
on the hand. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it was. I look back at it with very fond memories, though. So maybe
Yeah,
we're fortunate for that.
it gave us values as well. It gave us respect as well.
Mhm.
It made us learn respect for not just your elders, but for everybody around you.
Yes, yes.
And I think one thing that I actually take away from that is like I grew up playing cricket a lot and always away from home. So living or playing like elsewhere, and they will always teach you whenever you come across anybody elder or anybody, you just take your head off and you say hi, hello.
Yes.
That's just a sign of respect. Even the chefs that cook your food, like you go into the kitchen and you say, thank you for the meal, because they also working hard to provide you with sustenance. So it's good to say, please and thank you. There's nothing, it costs you nothing.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it gives you the sense of gratefulness, and I think encourages this respect. It's I think we were fortunate to have been raised, under those pretenses.
Yeah,
I don't think a lot of people these days have that opportunity to have that type of discipline, respect, kind of
yeah,
pushed into them, built into them.
no, 100% agree. And like it makes you also thankful for the grounding that we received.
Mhm.
It allows us to now also navigate challenges so much, with more confidence.
Yes.
We don't struggle with like trying to figure out, or find a resolution.
Mhm.
Sometimes it gets a bit annoying when we can't find it, but we know we're resilient enough.
Yes.
We've
Exactly.
we've been built up with a bit of strength.
Yes. Yes.
So, and I think hopefully the next generation can learn. That's all we're trying to do. I think nowadays we're just trying to impart our knowledge and give them the best opportunity to navigate life, because it's not easy. Life is never easy.
Yeah. I think it's harder now than it was in the past.
Yeah, for sure.
Comforts and technology we have.
Yeah, we're so connected and wired in. It's 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 scary, but also it has its perks as well. The pros and cons to everything.
Yes.
I mean, we're so connected now. We can just call home anytime. Whereas before you had to like wait for the time, buy a world call card or send a letter.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to buy those little cards,
Yeah,
long distance on it.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's nice. And in terms of like travel, I know travel is like a big part of your life.
Yeah, love to travel. I think it's important. Get new perspectives, get a new appreciation for what you have, what you don't have. Opens your mind and uh, your thoughts, your way of thinking in so many different ways. It's also a good way to break your routine and monotony that you might be building up over time. So yeah, definitely a big proponent of traveling. I went to Thailand in the summer, and this year I'm going to go to Argentina and Brazil.
Oh man, that's amazing.
Want to go see the Amazon before the Amazon doesn't exist anymall
Don't get eaten by an anaconda, please.
Those anacondas got to watch out for me. Yeah, no, I'm more worried about the spiders and smaller things you can see.
Yes.
Anaconda you see coming. Yeah, no, travel's important. How did you enjoy your Germany trip?
Man, it is. I can't explain to you the feeling. We went to the Berlin Wall, and you get that sense of history.
Mm,
Even while you're on the hop on hop off, they explain to you like East and West, how it was divided, and it actually happened there. It was
it's
part of history. You would feel that energy. It's still there. The energy is still there. I don't think it ever leaves.
wow.
But Germans and Austrians are extremely welcoming people. I think a lot of people see them as this harsh, um, very very straightforward, persona, but they're very welcoming, very accommodating, and it was just an awesome trip. And the actual reason we went to Austria was actually to watch Coldplay.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, because we actually got tickets for Coldplay first, and then we booked that trip after.
Those are some hardcore Coldplay fans.
Yeah, it's once in a it's the best concert or one of the best concerts we've ever been to in terms of like just energy, entertainment, music, vibe, people also like, even though we were like probably like a very minimal amount of brown people within in that environment, but you never felt out of place.
Wow.
It
Okay.
make you feel so welcome, and that's how safe it was, because prior to that it was Taylor Swift's concert and that got cancelled because there was a security threat.
Oh wow. Okay.
The week before, it was supposed to be in the same stadium actually, but there was no sense of like urgency. You didn't feel unsafe.
What was the security threat then?
I don't know. I think there was just um, I think there was some form of terrorist threat or something to
God.
that venue, and they canceled the show. So
I see.
a lot of Swifties missed out.
Yeah. So what do you call Coldplay fans? Coldies?
Coldies.
Yeah. No, I'm a big fan of
Have you-
Coldplay, but not too.
Have you seen the hype in India, in UAE? Because Coldplay is going to play in January there, and people were like trying to buy tickets. Like bots, I think bots bought them out really quickly, and they're like selling them at like 20 times the price now.
Of course.
But no, it's even just Austria for me. I've been there before. It's been a top 5 venue destination for me, because
Okay.
I've been to the countryside as well. And
Nice.
for me, that was breathtaking, Lucia. I mean, that was breathtaking. I don't. If you ever get a chance to go to to Austria, try and go into the countryside.
Yeah.
Like that for me is like Austria. Vienna is beautiful as well. Don't get me wrong. But culture, it's got excitement, it's got food, it's got people, But just when you see that mountain, you see those little houses in the, like a prairie, and then it's just stunning. If you ever go, I would recommend Austria to anybody.
Got it. Wow. Okay. Okay. Noted.
Yeah, for sure. If it's on your bucket list, make sure you get there. Even Berlin. Berlin is very very historic, architecturally very, very beautiful, stunning.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and not a lot of high rises. That is good.
Yeah, I guess because there's a lot of that city and that civilization developed so long ago, right?
Yeah. It's amazing. Like, I know Berlin's the capital, right?
Of Germany,
Yeah.
I believe so. Oh, you're putting us on the spot now.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Maybe that's why probably no high rises, because of being a capital like Washington. Washington, there aren't that many high rises.
Because I think a lot of those buildings were built so long ago, right? They were
Yeah.
going beyond 3 or 4 stories.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be tearing down those buildings, right?
No.
Absolutely significant.
But no, I believe also you traveled to Guatemala, right?
Yeah, that was last year, the year before. We went there to go. We went to go hike one volcano so we could see another volcano. And it was probably one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in my life. It's like sketched in my mind forever. Was hiking. This hike was very difficult to begin with. Was a challenge, but once we got up there, the view of seeing an active volcano, seeing this lava come out, seeing it smoke, smelling it, hearing it, feeling the heat. It was truly spectacular. Definitely something that I'll never forget.
Amazing. Yeah, hiking is something we've just gotten into now recently. If we ever do get a chance, we'll try. But I mean, like, for sure. And altitude-wise, it probably was like a challenge, right?
Yeah, so we were in a group of 10, and half the group got altitude sickness. So we took some pills ahead of time to help with it, but still half the group, had altitude sickness. It's just because you're going from you're hiking up on the most direct route up there, so that you can get above the clouds to see the volcano. So it's a very steep climb. We did it you climb it in like a day. You get to the top within the day. So yeah, you're hitting pretty extreme altitudes, and there's no way to avoid that.
Do you recommend like training before it, like doing some form of like training, or just be like aware that
I think you have to. Yeah, I think you're gonna have to just be aware that you're gonna have to deal with some sort of altitude sickness. Some people will more than others. But what you can train for is the hike up there.
Okay.
because the air gets thin the higher up you go. So your lungs and your body has to work a lot harder to bring in oxygen. So definitely being healthier, being in better shape. I definitely struggled, and I was kind of kicking myself and saying, I should have prepared and trained a little harder for this hike.
I mean, you're pretty fit as well. I mean, you're pretty in shape. So
Yeah, I think it was still tougher, man. It was, I think, it's definitely something that I took for granted. I didn't prepare for as much as I should have.
noted, guys. Remember, just prepare. If you're ever going to hike altitude mountains, make sure we do our training in before. Because I was watching the other day, Everest, and high altitude climbers, what they need to go through. Because I think in Nepal they don't just allow anybody to climb. You have
Sure.
to have certain amount of, you have to be a certain level to climb.
Yeah, it's dangerous. It's not something you can take lightly.
But that's the beauty of planet Earth. Even just looking at our planet on the plane, and it's you feel like really insignificant because it's massive. Like we feel like so small,
Yeah.
and you're like thinking to yourself, there's so much more of this world to explore. And like you said, travel gives you perspective. It also helps you understand culture, not just in your environment, but all over the world. People love a certain way. People enjoy certain things. They practice certain ways of living, and it's interesting to see. And you can adopt some of it because some things might help you and some things might not.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's so much to learn. And I also think, we have a very fast moving, work centric culture here. So when you travel, you're reminded that, this isn't the only way to live life.
Yeah. I think coming from South Africa, we had to really slow down because Canadian culture is not as fast paced as South African culture.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine asked me about work-life balance. And he said, if we could just talk about that more, I should share a lot more of what I feel is work-life balance. And for me, it's I think work-life balance is individual, but also your environment plays a huge part of that.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what I would say to him is that if your environment is fast-paced, you've also got to try and, for yourself, make it as slow as possible. I know at times it's not easy, but you have to also make that jump or take that step to slow your pace down. Because you age 10 years before you know it, if you don't take care of yourself.
Absolutely, it's critical. Yeah.
Coming from high pace, both those professions are pretty intense.
Yeah, 100%. If you're not looking after yourself, the thing is, you can't do your job well if you're not looking after yourself. So it's important, if you want to do well in what you're doing, to also keep looking after yourself.
Yeah, and I'm sure nutrition and diet also comes into that fold, because what we consume is will play a part in your energy levels. Because if you're consuming the wrong things, then you're gonna feel lethargic. I'm not saying.
Yeah, if you're getting shit unprocessed food, you're going to feel like shit.
Yeah, exactly. And I think because you're so fast, everything's so fast. You feel like as if I'm just gonna grab a quick burger, or quick fast food, and just thinking to yourself, okay, I don't have time to eat. I don't have time to prepare a healthy meal. Let me just consume whatever's in front of me.
Yeah.
And your fitness journey, you've gone through a lot of challenges, and I'm sure when you first began, your nutrition wasn't as what it is now, right?
Of course, yeah. You learn along the way. Everybody's body is different, so you got to learn what works best for you. And yeah, so it's over years of just figuring out what works best. And I feel the science and the knowledge we have on diets has also changed considerably over the last couple of decades. At one point it was veganism, then it was vegetarian, or being carnivore diet, and I think there's all these different diets out there, paleo diets. I think you got to figure out what works best for you.
Yeah.
No one can really tell you how to do that. You have to figure it out.
Trial and error as well. I know a good friend of mine as well. She was in my first episode of on my podcast, and she shares like her journey with chocolate. Like she loves chocolate.
Oh.
Yeah. But she's aware that also consuming too much of it is also not good. But she also had to learn through her journey, her fitness journey, that she needed to incorporate it into her diet, but not over indulge.
Right. Yes.
And that's the challenge I think we all face, is not to overindulge in something that we feel is good for us, because have everything in moderation.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that's why I think where a lot of people like struggle is finding or being just aware of what not to consume, when to consume it.
Yeah.
Because easy meals are there constantly now.
Yes. Yeah. I think you have to be very selective of what you're putting into your body.
Yeah.
Inconvenience over, quality of food and the right macros for yourself. You will pay the price for it.
I mean, as a neuroscientist as well, you probably understand it a bit more in depth in terms of how the body works and the brain.
Sure. Yeah. And you can complicate it as much as you like, but it's very simple. Like natural, whole foods are just better for your body than, processed foods. And those whole foods usually take a little longer to prepare, and you have to go out of your way sometimes to get them. They're not as easy as going through a drive-through. But like anything else, anything that's worthwhile takes time, right? So same thing applies to food.
But like you said, nowadays we have like tools and things that make it quicker for us, like an air fryer is like one of those apparatuses that's just 10-15 minutes and you're done.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we have a ton of tools that make it easy, but I feel there's even easier options out there. Put this in the microwave and in 30 seconds you have a full meal.
Yeah, but it loses that nutrient.
Yeah, it's nutrient dead food essentially. You're just eating empty calories at that point.
Yeah, but I guess we learn as we go, right?
That's it.
Mindfulness over awareness.
Yes.
But no, what's next for you? What's next for Ritesh?
Great question. I don't really know. I think continuing to help as many people as I can, invest in the right things when it comes to real estate, educating as many people as I can on what makes what are the right fundamentals for buying your own personal residence, for buying an investment property. That's the goal now, is just to continue to educate people. And then for myself is to continue on my fitness journey. I have my fitness goals that I'm still working towards, continuing to travel, continuing to be there for my friends and family. Those are the things that are important to me. Those are the goals that I'm working on.
No, amazing. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing your journey with us today. And yes, guys, if you're looking to purchase a home or invest, reach out to Ritesh. I'll leave his details in the description. Awesome guy. He'll have your back.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. It was great to have this conversation. I really enjoyed it.
No, I appreciate that, man. But thank you guys so much. And until the next episode. See ya. Bye.